So I've reached a bit of a conundrum with this challenge, and therefore I'm tweaking the rules a bit. You know what would be cool? If I was able to read a flat 50 volumes. So after all this, it sounds like, oh, Kristen, this is going great. You're enjoying your books. It's a good experience. But I'm starting to get a bit of burnout. So post-challenge Kristen here, because I wanted to kind of get you up to date or explain to you what this video is even gonna be. So this challenge started out as one thing, to read a manga volume each day for 30 days. And it quickly morphed into something kind of different, and then eventually morphed into something very different, as you might be able to tell from the title. All of that will be explained along the way, but just know that this challenge started out with me attempting to read one manga volume each day for 30 days. Welcome to my 30-day manga challenge vlog. I actually started this challenge last night, so it's currently day 2, so I'll go ahead and tell you what I read yesterday and what I plan on reading today. So I started the reading challenge with volume 2 of the Danganronpa manga series. I read volume 1 back in the summer, so I started with volume 2, obviously. This manga series is based on an anime series that is based on a video game that I absolutely love called Trigger Happy Havoc Danganronpa. Definitely check it out if you're into like murder mystery video games. It's very cool, it's very anime. I love it so much. This is not a super great adaptation, but I'm enjoying it nonetheless. In the intro to this challenge, I talked more about the premise, so check that out in the cards if you want to hear more about it. So obviously today that means I'm moving on to volume 3 of the manga, and I'll probably move on to volume 4 tomorrow just in case I don't update. It's pretty straightforward for these first few days before I move on to another series. It is the end of day 3 of the challenge, and I look like a mess. But I have successfully completed the first series, and that is the Danganronpa manga, or at least the ones that cover the first game in the series. I also watched the anime alongside this, and now that I've completed both of those, I want to just reiterate something I've already said, which is that this manga is definitely the worst format to experience the story. The game is by far the best way to experience the story. It's such a brilliant story, and it's so well crafted and well done in the game. And the anime is a decent adaptation, but doesn't quite do it justice. And then this is just a further reduction of the anime. This is the worst adaptation, but still worth a read if you really, really like the series, which I do. So obviously now that I've completed a series, I now need to move on to a new series, and I'm not totally sure what I want to read next. I kind of have 2 separate ideas, and I'm not sure which one I want to go with. The first of which is to just go ahead and complete the Battle Royale manga series, since it's one that I've been reading for almost 3 years now, and I just kind of want to finish it up with 5 volumes left, I think. And then my second train of thought is one that I just totally blanked on mentioning in my TBR video, which is a reread of Death Note. I read Death Note for the first time, I think 4 years ago at this point. It was my first manga series, and it is still to this day my favorite manga series, and I've been wanting to do a reread for a while now, and this is obviously the perfect opportunity. So yeah, that's about where I'm at right now. I just kind of wanted to give you a bit of an update since I finished a series today, and I guess we'll see what I decide to pick up next. So it is now day 4 of the challenge, and last night I talked about how I was going back and forth between Battle Royale and Death Note, and I wasn't totally sure which one I wanted to read. So of course today I went totally off the rails and I read the first volume of Liar Game. Honestly, it just kind of happened on a whim. I was thinking about like my favorite plot devices and my favorite pieces of media, and that just led me right back to Liar Game. So I read the first volume. It's been adapted into both a Korean drama and a Japanese drama, and I've seen both of those. I've seen the entirety of the Korean drama and the first season of the Japanese drama, and it's becoming very clear to me that the Japanese drama is much closer to what the actual manga series is. So yeah, really loving the story so far, excited to read more, and I might start rewatching the drama alongside it because it's just such an interesting story. I really love it. All right, we need to have a chat about the rules of this challenge. It is currently approximately 1:30 in the morning on day 6 of this challenge. Any guesses as to why I am currently sitting in front of a camera talking about this challenge at 1:30 in the morning? If you guessed that it was because I stayed up until midnight so that I could immediately at midnight read the next day's volume, you'd be correct. So yeah, essentially I read day 6's volume right at the stroke of midnight because I wanted to read the next volume in the series. So I've reached a bit of a conundrum with this challenge, and therefore I'm tweaking the rules a bit to kind of give myself a little leeway with this. Because although the rule of the challenge is read a volume of a manga per day, the goal in general is just to read more manga that I've been wanting to read and just to read in general because I haven't been doing a lot of that lately. So I'm adjusting the rule of this challenge just slightly. Instead of the rule being to read a volume of a manga each day, the new rule is read at least one volume of a manga each day. So quite honestly, if I wanted to read the entirety of the Liar Game series today, I could. I'm not going to, but I could. Basically, I just felt like I was putting some pointless restriction on myself for this challenge that didn't need to exist, so that's the new rule. So that being said, I've now read the first 3 volumes of Liar Game. I'm loving it, I'm really enjoying it, I'm watching the Japanese drama alongside it, and it's really great. So that's it for this update. I'm honestly probably going to continue reading this series until I'm done with it, so I'll update you at some point, but it's probably going to be a bit sporadic for the next few days. So it's the end of day 9 of the challenge, and I don't have a ton to update you on, but I figured I should go ahead and update you anyway because tomorrow, day 10, is the start of the Stay Home Reading Rush, and I am participating in that, so it felt like a good idea to bookend this section of the vlog here before moving on to the Reading Rush part. But that separate vlog for the Reading Rush will be up in the cards if you want to check it out. I will probably go ahead and summarize what happened in the next clip, so either way, you know what happened. Last time I updated you, it was the beginning of day 6, and I had just finished Liar Game Volume 3, and as of the end of day 9, I have finished through volume 8. I ended up reading 3 volumes of Liar Game on day 6, so 3, 4, 5. And ever since then, I've been doing 1 per day. I've been keeping it pretty consistent because I knew I'd be reading a lot over the next few days and I didn't want to rush anything. That pun was unintentional, but I appreciated it nonetheless. So that's it. That's where we're at right before the Reading Rush starts. I do kind of want to, again, tweak this challenge just a little bit, making it harder, not easier, but that all depends on how the Reading Rush goes, so we will see. It's now day 14 of my 30-day manga challenge, and it is time to update you on how the Stay Home Reading Rush went because that just finished yesterday. Basically, over the course of the 4 days, I read 9 manga volumes. I read 1 per day for 2 days in a row, and then I read 4, and then I read 3. So I did a lot of manga reading in the days when I haven't talked to you. I read the entirety of the Doubt manga series, which was 2 volumes in the English editions, and I thought they were all right overall. I enjoyed the second one more than the first one. I had some problems with them, but overall, I liked them. I would give this series overall like a high 3 out of 5. I also read volume 1 of The 7 Princes of the Thousand-Year Labyrinth. This was an alright read for me. I liked it. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Didn't blow me away. I was intrigued enough to continue though, so I did order volumes 2 through 4, which will complete this series, and hopefully those get here before the end of this challenge so I can read all of them for the challenge. I do absolutely love this art style though. Stunning. Love it. Can't wait to see more of it. I also read volumes 9 through 12 of Liar Game. Still really enjoying this. Fantastic series. Loving it. All of them have gotten 4 out of 5. And finally, I began my reread of Death Note by reading the first 2 volumes in the series. These are the original volumes, not the black editions, so basically the entirety of the first black edition is what I've reread so far. I gave volume 1 5 stars because it's just outstanding. I love it. I haven't decided on a rating for the second volume. I really enjoyed it, but not quite as much. So those are all the manga that I read over the past 4 days. Like I said, 9 volumes. It was a lot. However, it has inspired me to kind of up the ante again for my 30-day manga challenge. Because I started thinking and I was like, you know what would be cool? If I was able to read a flat 50 volumes in this 30-day period. And then I thought about it and I was like, it's been 13 days and I've already read 20. How many would I have to read per day to get to 50 by the end of this? And it averaged out to a little bit less than 2 volumes per day. If I can read 2 manga volumes each day, I can read 50 volumes during this 30-day manga challenge. That sounds pretty cool to me. So I think that's my new challenge to myself. Will I be able to complete this? I'm not sure. This is definitely a challenge. But at this point, reading 1 volume per day is pretty easy, and I wanted to make it challenging for myself again, so we're making it challenging again. As for today, I'm definitely going to be reading at least 1 volume of Liar Game because I read 2 yesterday and I thought that would complete the round of the game they're playing, and it didn't. So I had to stop in the middle of a round last night, and I want to finish that today. If I read volume 13 of Liar Game and it leaves me at a good stopping point, I'll probably stop there for the day and move over to Death Note for my second volume today, but we'll see. I kind of want to keep things kind of up to my discretion. But overall, I've just been in a really good reading mood lately, so I just want to keep that going. All right, it is now day 19 of the challenge. Yesterday was the first day when I got my first taste of not wanting to do this. I still read yesterday. I did not skip a day. However, I definitely was not super into it yesterday, and I'm still kind of not super into it. As of right now, I've finished through volume 16 of Liar Game, which I believe is 4 volumes past where I was last time I updated. And I've also finished through Death Note Volume 5, which I think is 3 past where I was last time I updated. And then yesterday, Volume 2 of The Seven Princes of the Thousand Year Labyrinth came, so I read that yesterday. Some quick notes. Liar Game continues to be very good. I've given every single volume 4 stars. The Death Note reread is still going fantastically, loving it. Death Note Volume 3 was actually a really pleasant surprise. It is probably my favorite volume of Death Note so far. In the black editions, it's bound up with Volume 4, which is probably my least favorite volume in the series so far, so I think that on the original read kind of tainted my view of Volume 3, but Volume 3 was fantastic. And then this yesterday was good. Solid 3-star read, nothing special, but probably better than the first volume for me. So after all this, it sounds like, oh, Kristen, this is going great. You're enjoying your books. It's a good experience. But I'm starting to get a bit of burnout. Because at this point, I've been reading Liar Game for like 2 weeks now, and although every single volume is good, it can be a little bit repetitive, because although there have been tons of different games or rounds and they've all been really interesting to read about and they've all been very different, there are always certain commonalities between each round, and those aspects are what make it feel a little bit repetitive. And I'm reading Death Note alongside that, and it's great because Death Note is one of my favorite series, but it's a reread, so I'm kind of at the point where nothing is really feeling super fresh that I'm reading. So yesterday I literally just read this instead of 2 volumes because I didn't want to really read Death Note or Liar Game because I wanted something different and something fresh and new. And I'm kind of at a stalemate because I don't have volumes 3 and 4 of this yet, and I don't want to start a new series because that would be like 4 series that I'm reading at the same time, and that's just too much. So I'm just kind of at a stalemate and I'm really not sure what to do. And part of me thinks it would be fun to do something along the lines of like a try a chapter tag, but instead of a chapter, it's like a volume of a manga just to test it out and see if that's what I want to read or what I'm in the mood for. But then again, if I do that, I'll be starting another manga series and I don't really want to do that. So I'm not totally sure what to do. I'm definitely going to read something today, and I'm probably going to try to read 2 volumes because I need to keep up with that. But I'm not feeling as motivated today and yesterday as I have the rest of the challenge. I think what I really need to do is I have 3 volumes of Liar Game left, and I probably need to just try and power through those so that I can move on to something new and kind of get some motivation back. We'll see. This is just the first time during this challenge that I felt kind of unmotivated, and I'm trying to get out of that as quickly as possible because I don't want to fail even a single day. Because that's another thing, when I do challenges like this, I always assume that I'm going to have at least one day where I fail because I'm not very good at consistency. I'm good at like chunking things and like binge doing things, but I'm not good at doing things spread out across a long period of time. So I think this is the first time I might be able to actually do it every single day, and I don't want to fail that for once. So yeah, that's the update. Today is day 19, and over the first 18 days I read 28 volumes so far, so I have 22 more to go, and so I'm still on track for 2 volumes a day being enough. In fact, I think I'm a little bit ahead of that, so I'm still doing all right. I'm just a little unmotivated. All right, it's now the morning of day 21 of the challenge, so allow me to catch you up. Day 19, I ended up just going ahead and reading volume 6 of the Orange manga series. This is kind of like the spin-off sequel type thing that tells an alternate version of the story. I think my last update I filmed on the day that I read this, I still just wasn't really feeling it, so I read this instead of either of the series I was reading. Per usual with this series, these characters are too pure for this world. They made me cry. It wasn't a super great spin-off sequel, but it was all right. I don't know what to rate it, but moving on. And then yesterday, day 20, I finished Liar Game. The series is over. I finished the last volume. I read the last 3 yesterday. I don't know what to do with myself. It's weird how quickly I can go from being really sick of a series to being incredibly distraught that it's over, because that was the whiplash that I had. Those last 3 volumes of Liar Game, which were the last round of the game, were honestly not really the strongest way to end the series. For me, it was probably the weakest round, but I think I do overall have generally positive opinions on the very last volume, which wrapped up everything. I think I enjoy that. I think I like the ending. I was really worried I wouldn't, so I think that's a net positive. I think overall, if I were to rate the entire series, I would give it 5 out of 5, but it's more of a 9.5 out of 10 than a full 10 out of 10. But I just don't know what to start next, because I think I need to start something new so that I have something fresh going alongside Death Note, but I just don't know what to start. I'm not sure what I'm in the mood for. I just grabbed these off my shelf. These are the 6 first volumes in a series that I own that I could pick up today if I wanted to. So that's one option, or more accurately, like 6 options. But also there's a lot of manga online that I could read, so that's option number 2. And option number 3 is that my Barnes & Noble is doing like the curbside pickup thing, so I could order something online at Barnes & Noble and drive there and pick it up and not have to obviously go in because it's closed right now. My Barnes & Noble does have the first volume of Erased in stock, and I've said many times how much I want to read that, but then again, also if I get it at Barnes & Noble, it is the full $30 rather than like $22 on Amazon, I think. I just don't know. I have no idea. That's the update, is that I don't know what I'm doing. So 2 things. Firstly, I caved. I decided to do Barnes & Noble curbside pickup, and I got it. Secondly, I've made a mistake. I don't know if you can tell because this cover is completely white, but this book that I've been hyping up for months and saying that I didn't want to buy it yet because it's really expensive came with a ripped cover that I couldn't really do anything about because I got it curbside and I opened the bag and there was the ripped cover. Part of me wants to just return it, but part of me also knows that they definitely don't have another copy at Barnes & Noble because they only ever have 1 copy of any random manga at any moment. So there's no chance they have another one to give me, but I want to read it really badly and I don't know what to do because I don't want a ripped cover. Regardless, each of these hardcover copies is a bind up of 2 of the original volumes as they were published in Japanese. So I'm probably gonna at least read the first of those today, if not both of them. But also, I kind of wanted to go through and see like how many manga series there actually were that I wanted to start, just to kind of take stock of that. So I created a shelf on Goodreads, and there are a lot of series to start on my Goodreads, but there were like 15 that I was like very interested in. Honestly, the more I think about it, the more I want to try some sort of try a chapter or try a volume thing with many of these series just to get a taste for them and see which ones I'm really, really excited about and potentially start one. Or at the very least, if I'm not going to start it now, to at least potentially know which ones I'm most interested in so that I can actually order physical volumes and I won't be impatient for them to get to me because everything shipping wise is taking longer now. Also, because most of the stuff I've been reading lately has been like really serious or very dark, I'm kind of starting to get in the mood for something a little bit more lighthearted and fun, maybe even cute. So some of the ones like maybe more like Sword Art Online, which seems a little bit more lighthearted, or like Your Lie in April is another one that I'm intrigued by. I don't know, I just have a lot that I'm intrigued by, and after reading the same series for a really long time, I'm kind of starting to get into the mood where I want to try something that's really different and I want to try a lot of different things. So that's it for now. Hopefully I figure out something that I'm in the mood for because I have too many options right now. Full disclosure, I have zero idea what day my last update was filmed on. All I know is that it is the end of day 24. And a lot has happened in the days since I last updated because I did the thing that I talked about doing. I did an entire try a chapter, or in this case, volume tag. Although I am doing this vlog, that was just like too much content to fit into here without it totally derailing everything. So I did do a separate video. It is linked up in the cards if you want to check it out, but I will also recap it very briefly for you here and now. I read the first volumes of 7 manga series, and those were Erased, Bleach, Your Lie in April, Tokyo Game, Full Metal Alchemist, Dead Man Wonderland, and Future Diary. I can't believe I got all of those in one fell swoop. That was my first take. Go me. So after reading all those volumes, I split them up into two different categories. Firstly, the ones that I don't want to continue right now, and then the ones that I want to continue as soon as possible. The 4 that I'm not going to continue at this moment are basically the ones I'm less interested in, except for one, and those were Future Diary, Full Metal Alchemist, Dead Man Wonderland, and Bleach, which was the one that I am very interested in but cannot commit to at this exact moment. Which makes the ones that I want to continue, like now, Tokyo Game, Your Lie in April, and Erased. As I hoped, Erased Volume 1 was a 5-star read. Absolutely obsessed with it. I loved it so much. So all 7 of those volumes I read across days 21 and 22 of the challenge. So that only accounts for 2 days. And then day 23 rolled around and I got Volume 3 of The 7 Princes of the Thousand Year Labyrinth in the mail, and I'd already gotten Volume 4 in the mail, so I just went ahead and finished this series. Overall, I would say this is like a 3.5 out of 5 series for me, maybe like 7 out of 10, 7.5 out of 10, somewhere in that vicinity. I gave all 4 volumes 3 out of 5, but I think that if it were just based on my enjoyment, I might bump the series overall up to like a low 4 out of 5, like 8 out of 10. However, I do think this is going to be one of those series that don't really stick with me very much, even though I enjoyed it in the moment, so that's why it got a 3 instead of a 4. And then today, I finished Tokyo Game as well by reading volumes 2 and 3 in that series, which completes the trilogy. I'm still not sure how I feel about Tokyo Game. I just have mixed feelings on Tokyo Game that I haven't fully waded through yet. There are some things that I really liked, some things that I didn't really like, and overall it kind of has left me feeling kind of ambivalent toward it, so I'm not sure what to do with it. I'll say it's probably a 3 out of 5 for me, but that's tentative. And that catches us up to where I'm at right now. I have read 43 of the 50 volumes that I would like to read, which means that I have 6 more days and 7 more volumes to read, which is a lot further ahead than I thought I was. Reading 7 volumes across 2 days really got me way ahead of where I needed to be. So now that I've let myself go wild and roam into several different territories, it's time for me to focus back in on what I want to finish before the end of this challenge. Namely, I have 7 more volumes of Death Note to read, so if I wanted to, that could be just the entirety of what I read for the rest of the challenge. But also, I really want to read more of Erased, so I don't think that's going to happen. But past that, I have still not read any of Battle Royale during this challenge, and I only have 5 volumes left. So I kind of want to make sure that I wrap that up nicely in this challenge. And at that point, I think I'm at capacity. I don't think I can introduce any more series into the mix without frying my brain. So I think that's my limit. So that's it. I've read so many things in the past few days that I knew I needed to update at some point, and now I have. It is now day 28 of the challenge, which means we are almost there. We're only a couple days away. We're in the home stretch. I feel like my updates for this last bit of the challenge have felt really sparse because honestly, it doesn't really feel like I'm doing a challenge anymore. I think I kind of got ahead enough and had been reading so many volumes a day that now that I'm just reading like 1 or 2 a day, it just feels really easy. It doesn't feel like a challenge, and it just feels like a thing I do now, which is cool, but it also means I keep forgetting to update the vlog, so allow me to catch you up. On days 25 and 26 of the challenge, I read the 2nd and 3rd volumes of Erased, and still loving it. It is fantastic so far. Honestly, I would be even further in this series, but unfortunately I only have the first 2 bind-ups still, and I'm waiting for the 3rd and 4th to get to me. So the only one I have left to read that I have is volume 4, and I've been kind of trying to save that until I can continue on. So I'm kind of in a holding pattern right now. Then day 27, I decided to finish the 3rd Black edition of Death Note by reading volume 6. Once again, another solid reread, still really enjoying my reread, it's great. And then today I went ahead and read volumes 11 and 12 of Battle Royale. So since we're in the end game, I kind of want to come up with a plan for the next couple of days, because I think I at least want to have a clean ending for everything that I'm reading, if that makes sense. So I have 3 more volumes of Death Note left, which are 13, 14, 15, and that completes the series. So hopefully over the next couple of days I will do that. And I'd also like to read Erased volume 4 because I think that the 3rd bind-up will get to me the day after this challenge ends. So if I can read volume 4 on the last day of the challenge, I can just move right into the next one and not have too much time in between them. Those are my priority, but I kind of also want to read another Black edition of Death Note. Not totally sure. That seems like pushing it a little bit because then I'd have to read 3 volumes each day, and I'm not sure I want to do that. Either way, I'm currently sitting at 48 volumes read, so as long as I read 1 volume tomorrow and 1 volume the last day of the challenge, I will be up to 50. So that's it for this update. You probably won't see me again until the very end of this challenge, so let's just go ahead and cut to that. So here we are. My 30-day manga challenge has just ended. We're done. It's the end of the 30 days. I can't believe we made it here. I did end up doing what I hoped I would do, which was I read the last 3 volumes of Battle Royale on day 29, and then I read volume 4 of Erased and volumes 7 and 8 of Death Note on the last day of the challenge, which brings my total volumes of manga read in the 30 days up to 54 volumes. It's so weird to think back to the beginning of this challenge and remember that it started out with me just wanting to read a manga volume each day for 30 days. Like even by day 6, it had changed into something else where I was reading at least 1 per day. And then by the midpoint, I gave myself the challenge to read 50 over the 30 days. And I wasn't even sure I'd be able to do that. And here I am at the end of the challenge, having read 54 volumes. I've attempted to do so many challenges like this, both like in video form and also just in my own life for fun to challenge myself. And I think this might be the first time when I completed one of these challenges and didn't miss a single day and have to make up for it. I'm generally someone who is better at sprints than I am at marathons. Like I'm someone who might read really avidly for a full week and then the next week or 2, I just don't pick up a book. And this applies to like every aspect of my life. So for once, being able to do something every single day for 30 days just feels like an accomplishment on top of the fact that I was able to read over 50 volumes. So I've decided I probably don't have the time to film a full dedicated wrap-up video for this challenge, and it also feels a little redundant since I've already done this video and I've made you go to like 2 other videos in the process to see like other parts like the Stay Home Reading Rush and my Triad volume tag. So I'm just going to do a very broad general wrap up right now at the end of the video, talking about some of the stats and talking about my favorite stuff that I read, which you probably can already tell from this vlog. So I made a nice big grid picture, which I'll put right here. This is all 54 of the volumes that I read. I'm going to put it in here first based on the order that I read them, and then I also made one that's like grouped by series. Speaking of series, I started 10 new to me series during this challenge, and I also finished 7 series for the first time in this challenge. As you'll see, there's not a 1-to-1 ratio here. There are some series that I started before the challenge, but I finished them during the challenge. So there are more than like 3 series that I started during this challenge that I have yet to finish. This challenge also helped me to discover 2 new favorite series of all time, and those were, of course, the Liar Game manga series and the Erased series. Liar Game's a little dubious on that because I had already seen the drama before reading the manga, but both of these series I started during this challenge, and I haven't finished Erased yet, but I would have if I had all the volumes in my possession, and both of these are definite new all-time favorite series ever. I finally completed the Battle Royale manga series, which I've been reading for almost 3 years, like 2.5 years at this point. And I didn't mention this when I first started recording this bit, but the last few volumes of Battle Royale were by far the best volumes of the series. The manga series ended so well, and those were like probably 5-star reads for me. The series overall, I would say, is maybe like an 8 out of 10. It's like a 4 out of 5 because there are some things in the series that I don't enjoy, but overall, it's just such a good adaptation of the book and I really enjoyed it. Pretty much all of the other series that I started and finished in this challenge are gonna be like 3 out of 5s for me. Those were 7 Princes of the Thousand Year Labyrinth, Doubt, and Tokyo Game. Those are all series that I liked, but they're definitely not new all-time favorites. And then, finally, I started rereading my favorite manga series of all time, Death Note. And I think this reread is actually making me love Death Note even more than I did the first time around, because I gave some of the individual volumes 5 stars out of 5, which I did not do the first time around. And also, I almost forgot that there are like 3 or 4 more series that I'm very excited to read from this challenge because of that try a volume tag that I did. So I have even more that I want to read now, even though the challenge is over. Just overall, it was a really great opportunity to try a bunch of new manga and read a lot of manga in one fell swoop, and it was a lot of fun. So that concludes my 30-day manga challenge, and I still want to read another manga volume today, even though the challenge is over. Thank you so much for watching. Links to all my social media are down in the description, especially Goodreads. Please add me as a friend on Goodreads. I'd love to be friends with all of you on there. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!